Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Thank you for joining me wherever you are joining me. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. And if you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. If you're joining me on Spotify, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Again, you know what the vibes are. Not here for a long time, here for a good time today. And one thing I really can't get over is the performance of the quarterbacks in the Alabama versus Tennessee game. But while we've all seen this Alabama team coming and Bryce Young, obviously the Heisman winner, the reigning Heisman winner, it is the emergence of Hendon Hooker as a legitimate factor in the Heisman race that is the surprise. If you don't recall, Hendon Hooker started his career at Virginia Tech. He started his career at Virginia Tech in 2018, right? Started his career at Virginia Tech in 2018. Didn't play as a freshman, then as a sophomore at Virginia Tech, played some and was actually not bad. I mean, 61% completion percentage, 13 touchdowns, no interceptions. Came back the next year, played 10 games that year. Came back the next year, 65%, 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And then he reemerged at Tennessee. I don't know what happened to him at Virginia Tech and why it didn't work out for him at Virginia Tech. I can tell you, though, the fact that he's at Tennessee balling out over the last 2 years and the fact that he's no longer at Virginia Tech is probably why Justin Fuentes is out of a job, if we're being honest about it, right? It's probably why he's out of a job. The things that he's been able to do at Tennessee, it's not just the fact that he's an athlete. Excuse me. It's not just the fact that he's an athlete. It's the fact that he has really helped to change the entire culture at Tennessee. Like, that can't be undersold. It's not surprising to me that when a new staff took over at Tennessee, they went out and brought in a quarterback from outside, somebody that they knew could run their system the way they wanted, the way they want it ran. Heupel at Central Florida had a type of scheme where the quarterback had to be able to throw and run. Last year, Hooker threw for almost 3,000 yards and 31 touchdowns. But he also rushed for 616 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's something that can't be ignored.
Evan Jones, please report to the main office. Evan Jones.
That's something that cannot be ignored. That's something that we can't get beyond. At the end of the day, Hendon Hooker is a guy who, in my opinion, and shout out to Maurice Bell, who brings up the fact that Virginia Tech brought in another quarterback, and I forget the name of the quarterback, but I know one thing: he ain't Hendon Hooker. Watch for the hooker. Like, at the end of the day, what he's able to do with his feet, just as important as what he's able to do with his arm. But it's interesting because he is a product of this super senior, world that we're in right now. He's a person who is taking advantage of taking full advantages of the extra year. And if I'm not mistaken, if he wanted to come back for another year, he should be able to. I'm looking at his statistics from 2018 at Virginia Tech, that freshman year. I don't believe he played enough in order to burn that red shirt his freshman year. So with the extra year that they were granted, he could potentially play another year. Could you imagine Hendon Hooker, who is right now, I believe, 24 or 25 years old? 24 years old. He will be 25 in January. Could you imagine if Hendon Hooker at 25 years old comes back for his senior season at Tennessee or for another season at Tennessee? And here's why I believe whatever happens, he should do it, right? Because the difference between being a 25-year-old rookie in the NFL and being a 26-year-old rookie in the NFL doesn't really change much. But the opportunity to go down as a Tennessee legend, it's gonna take you way further than whatever cup of coffee you might get in the NFL, because they keep trying to change you and make you something you're not. Now, do I think Hendon Hooker could have a fantastic career in the NFL? Absolutely. Well, do I think he will get diminished like many other black quarterbacks who have come out before him have? Absolutely. So why not milk it for everything it's worth in college? Playing an offense that's tailored to you. Play in a conference where all eyes are on you. Play in a legendary program and go down in history. Just imagine, right? If Tennessee is able to upset Georgia, go to the SEC championship where they'll probably play Alabama again. Regardless of what happens in the SEC championship, Tennessee is going to the playoffs. Because if they win the SEC East and they're undefeated, and then they go to the championship game and lose to a team they've already beat, we're going to clamor for the rubber match. And you could get in the national championship game if they're able to get by a Michigan or an Ohio State. You could get in the championship game Alabama versus Tennessee 3. Bryce Young, Hendon Hooker, and the phenomenal performances they put on in that first one. You could get that again in the SEC title game, and then get it a third time in the national championship game. How phenomenal would that be? That's legendary stuff. That's stuff that puts you in the annals of SEC lore. That's way beyond what anybody will ever care about what you do in the NFL if you're not a star. That's the kind of stuff that builds a legacy. That's the type of stuff that allows you to what do they call it, in perpetuity, meaning forever. That's exciting to me. And it's also interesting when we think about it, right? Here's what we have to think about. When Bryce Young missed the game, his Heisman odds dropped. And if you don't know, my Heisman Watch column will be out tomorrow for The Athletic. So if you don't follow The Athletic, make sure that you follow The Athletic. My Heisman Watch column will be out tomorrow. But if you remember, when he missed the game, his Heisman odds dropped precipitously. It was the first time where he's been close to not being a top 3, right? Hendon Hooker was hovering somewhere around that plus 1,200, right? So, in my mind, in my mind, I think about it like this. Bryce Young's now in the play. They lost, but it wasn't because of Bryce Young. What he did at Alabama versus Tennessee, phenomenal. So he's right back up there again. But guess who else is there now? Hendon Hooker. And now Hooker has the path. I talk about this in Collins, but it's really important when we're talking about the Heisman, about the story that comes with the player as well. He has a path that leads him to the Heisman because the storylines behind these wins, if he's able to beat Georgia, he's already beat Alabama. If he's able to beat Georgia and he continues to put up the numbers that he's put up, which there's no reason to think he won't, he is 100% in line to be a Heisman candidate, to win the Heisman. And if that guy wins the Heisman, hey, cash those checks. That's all I'm saying. It's been really fun. That game was phenomenal. I don't know how Alabama dropped so low. After that game, you barely lost to a team that is supposedly a top 5 team. When you're a top 5 team, I don't know how you drop so low. Tennessee, in my opinion, should be number 1 because they've looked the most impressive the entire year. They've beaten the best competition the entire year. So they should be number 1. But it doesn't matter. These things will all work itself out in time. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. We do this thing a few times a week. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. If you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Until next time, peace.